Hey guys, so today I'm going to share with you my favorite Spanish vocabulary strategies so you can improve your overall vocabulary and fluency in Spanish or any language really that you're learning. You'll be able to apply these skills. So we're going to go over some strategies that you can use on your own if you are studying independently, and also some that you can use if you are studying with a partner. So we're going to get into some very specific strategies that you can use for vocabulary. But before we dive into that, I just want to mention how important it is that even after you learn new words, if you're studying the words and definitions and you're learning vocabulary that way, that's great. But you really need to make sure that you are practicing that vocabulary in a way that you're going to be able to use it when you're speaking or writing or however it is that you need to communicate yourself. So of the strategies that I'm going to show you, you can decide which ones you like, and you don't have to use all of them. But think about how you're then going to practice reading and writing, speaking and listening with each of these vocabulary words, because that is really what is going to improve your overall vocabulary and fluency in the language. Alright, so let's get into some specific strategies for learning vocabulary. There is, of course, the most traditional route of flashcards, which you can still use the flashcard, like paper flashcards. When I did this, I liked to put them on a metal ring and use them so I could sort them that way. So that is there. I would recommend using an online flashcard system if you're doing it this way. It's a little more convenient than the paper method. So something like Quizlet or any other vocabulary app. There's even apps where you don't have to type in your own words. You can get pre-made vocabulary lists and study that way. So if you have a specific test that you're studying for, or terms that you'd like to learn, like say it's for medical Spanish or for business Spanish, then you could go on to a site like Quizlet and get a pre-made study set for that vocabulary and then just kind of go through it. So that's the first method that you could use to study your vocabulary. Probably the most traditional one, flashcards. So another strategy that you can use for your vocabulary is you can use sticky notes like these and place them all over your house on various objects. Like on your door, you can label it puerta, or on your table, you can take one and label it mesa, and you can learn Spanish this way. So you'll end up with a bunch of sticky notes all over your house. But then as you're walking around and as you're using things, you will learn the vocabulary. So it's a very hands-on way to learn vocabulary because you're going to learn it as you're using it. So you are more likely to remember these terms this way because you're not just studying and memorizing, you're learning them as you're moving through your house, as you're doing other things. Another practical way that you can acquire some more vocabulary is by, this is kind of going back into that writing category, which is like if you're going to a grocery store and you're making a list, you can make that list in Spanish or in whatever your target language is. Make the grocery list in that language. So if you're going to buy milk, then instead of writing milk in English, you would write leche on there. And whatever else you're buying, you'll add that all to your list in Spanish. And then you just need to make sure that when you go to the store that you are able to read your list. But if you have a phone and you have a translator on there, if you forget one of the words, you can always look it up. Which brings me to my next point of how you can acquire some more vocabulary is by using a translator app on your phone. So Spanish, can you guys see that? So Spanish Dict is a good one. That's a good translator that you can have on your phone, and you can just type it in there and then you can translate and get the word. So if you are out and about, you need to know what a word means, and then you can type it in there and you can have your pocket dictionary in your phone. And along with apps like the Spanish Dict, you can use, if you're specifically just trying to build vocabulary, depending on what your level is. If you're a beginner in Spanish, then you're mostly just trying to get as much vocabulary as you can so that you can start communicating and then learning some basic grammar. You can use another app or software program like Duolingo or Rosetta Stone. Of course, most of you guys have probably heard of those. And if you have any other apps that you use, because I know that there are so many out there. Duolingo and Rosetta Stone are the only ones that I have personally used, so they're the only ones that I'm recommending here. But if you have used any other ones, please let me know in the comment section down below so that we can share those with other people who are trying to learn Spanish and which ones you like the best. Okay, so far I've shared with you guys some strategies that you can use for vocabulary if you are learning on your own. If you have someone else to work with, or if you want someone else to practice Spanish with, you can do this even just entirely online. You don't even have to leave your house. If you go online, there are several forums and groups where you can meet other people to practice your Spanish with and to learn more vocabulary, but also just to learn how to speak and read and write in that language. So I have a few different forums and groups that I've tried, and I'm gonna list them in the order of the most academic to the most casual. So you can kind of place yourself where you would like to be. If you want really academic, research-based Spanish and communication, then you can start with something like Stack Exchange, where they will cite references and they'll have just a more academic type feel to it. You can also go on Reddit, kind of similar to Stack Exchange, but a little bit less formal. You have Quora, where you can go and ask questions and get answers, and is a little bit more casual. And then Facebook groups, you can also go to practice your language, and it's the most casual that I've experienced, and it's really it's a good place if you want to learn more of the slang in the language, and if you just want to find other people to communicate with and you want to read posts, then it's a good place for that. So basically what I want you to take away from this video is that for strategies for learning vocabulary, there are some very specific ways that you can learn vocabulary. If you're just trying to memorize and get started, that is perfectly fine, and that is a great place to start if you're a beginner in Spanish, or even if you just want to acquire more vocabulary. You can go the memorization route and use the apps and get new vocabulary that way. But then once you have enough vocabulary where you feel like you can form sentences, then the next level up will be to start practicing that vocabulary by reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And you can do that on your own, you can do that with someone else, and you can still continue, and you should still continue to learn vocabulary just by studying vocabulary if you really want to level up your Spanish. But it is crucial to have that practice with the vocabulary words so that you know how to actually use them when you're learning them. Alright, I hope that you guys found this video helpful for improving your vocabulary in Spanish. If you liked it, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. I will be back here on Saturday again this week with a bonus video for you guys, so remember to come back on Saturday and then back next week for my regular uploading schedule on Monday and Thursday. Ciao!